Okay, at this time, we're going to move to Boating Law Enforcement Committee. Harold Cannon, chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee recognizes Dwight Hensley, Chief of the Engineering Division.
Thank you. Lights. What I would like to do is take about 10 or 15 minutes and step through a project that we finished up last year with the City of Nashville, and the Corps of Engineers was involved as well. And I guess it was kind of proper that you're going to be able, I'm going to show you photo by photo by how we do a boat ramp and how it gets put into place. This project was here in Davidson County with the City of Nashville, and we call it the McGavick Pike Ramp. It doesn't really have any particular name to it because it's not open to the public. Here is an aerial photo of the ramp, and how all this got started was that in 2010 the City of Nashville had called us and was wanting some help on this ramp. And their main problem they had with it was that they couldn't use it to get the larger boats off the trailer. So here's an overview of it. And what this was an old river. They converted it into an access, but it was a ferry crossing. Cumberland River, located on the Cheatham Reservoir, and the land belonged to Gaylord Entertainment. And Gaylord Entertainment was a couple of miles down the river, and they just called it McGavick Pike because if you go to the left over here about a mile, you'll be on McGavick Pike. So that's what the city called it. There's no signs up designating that. But the City of Nashville was using it as a non-public access site, and they used it for their emergency access and their training, basically by their police department, fire departments, and all the offices of the emergency management, and we was able to access it as well. And because we used it, we felt like we had a vested interest. They called us out in 2010 and wanted us to look at helping them resolve the problem they had. And the major problem again was they just could not get their larger boats off the trailer. Here again is the same shot, an aerial view of course. And what we determined as we was out there looking at this was really they had a couple of major problems, but three altogether. First of all, it was insufficient slope on the ramp. I think that was because it was not really made to be a ramp, but it was because it was used as a ferry crossing. And the second thing was it didn't transition into deep water. This here paralleled the bank. It went right on down through here. And what you need to do is be able to get your ramp out into the deeper water. So we come up with a fixed form on what we thought would work. And how we divided up the work was they was going to do all the permitting. They was going to buy the construction materials. And they would do most of the demolition, and what they asked us to do was the survey work, the engineering, the design, provide construction personnel to put it back and provide the equipment. Here is a shot of the site looking down, out here being the main channel of the river, of course. And the water elevation to this site stayed about 385 year round. Downstream here, you've got the Cheatham Lake, the Cheatham Dam. Upstream, you got Old Hickory. There's about 175 to 100 miles between the dams. And this water elevation doesn't fluctuate a whole lot. So what really gave them the problem last year, the reason it come to a head is because of the drought conditions that we had here in the Tennessee area. The water did drop down a little lower than normal, and they really couldn't use this site at all. Here's another shot of the ramp. This right here is a major retaining wall. Went down under the water with a big footer and foundation under it, and then they lapped the area with some steel. What we had to do, our major concern was just trying to get this broken down. We need to remove this down as far as we could, and we pushed this off over here in the water, took the steel out, pushed the rock off over here in the water to protect this area, and so we could skew it away from the bank and get out into some deeper water. And what they did to also complicate the problem was that, as you can see the silt up here, the silt would wash down onto the ramp from the bank, and as they would back their trucks out here to get out into deeper water, further out they would back them, That wasn't an issue until you tried to bring the boat out. When you tried to bring the big boats out, evidently they just couldn't get enough traction. So they came in, Nashville did, and put a bunch of asphalt out in here. Well, that made the problem even worse because it made the slope that was already too flatter, and that didn't help them any at all. I was out there one day and happened to see, as they brought one of these boats in, that they need to launch at this particular site. As you can see, that's a tandem axle boat, deep hull, and he really cannot go out any further. The tailpipe of the truck is already underwater. Another 6 to 8 inches. The back door is going to be, water could come in. These toolbox compartments here are not waterproof, so I'm sure there's water already in the back compartment of that truck. And even backing out where he was, you still had to have somebody on front of the trailer to push the boat off of the trailer as they had the boat in reverse. I was hesitant about showing you this, but after seeing Commissioner Cannon's drawing a while ago of the duck line, we do this occasionally, but not very often. We typically have a lot more in-depth plans than this, but Nashville did all of the permitting, and they were buying the material. So we met, they called us in June and said, we really got to fix this summer. Can you help us out? So we went out there in early June. It was June the 19th of 2012, because there's the date that we put on the drawing. And we discussed about ways that we thought we could help them. This is a plan view, looking at the top, looking down from it. The existing slope on this ramp stayed at a consistent 10%. So we thought that what they needed to do was to make it at least 15% slope, skew it, orient it out into the deeper water, and we skewed it about 15 degrees, and bring it out further into the water where they could get enough draft on the boat to push it up off the trailer. The green is cut, what we had to remove. We saw cut up here on the asphalt, tore it all out, carried everything off, and then we had to fill in the blue area over here. We talked about how to fix this, and when I left the site that day, I stopped by McDonald's to get a cup of coffee, and I was sitting down, and I thought, well, so I started putting ideas down on a piece of paper, except all I had was a napkin. So that's why I call it napkin design. That's really what it was. I bring it into Nashville, bring it to the office, lay it down, and put a piece of drawing paper over top of it and just trace everything out. So that's on paper. I whited out some stuff down here where I had a bunch of notes written. There was that concrete retaining wall that I have shaded in black that we had to cut out and push it over here to the right to get it off the bank to protect our ramp once we got it installed. So the first thing we did is that, you know, people ask me questions, how do we get these ramps out into the water? Well, do we coffer dam up, pump the water out? We don't. We could, but we don't do it that way. We use what we call the push method. In a minute, I'll show you how it gets that name. We came up here and cut out and hauled everything off that we could. Here's the bank going down through there. So we oriented it over to the right. We pour our first slab, which is about 18 foot wide, 20 or 30 feet long. We end up putting back, I think, close to 80 feet of concrete. You pour it, you clean everything off here, you go out here and bring out all your muck and your dirt that you can. You put rock and stone out there, and you compact it as good as you can, you get it flat, because that's where you're pushing your slab onto. You let it cure for a couple of days. You take your forms off. You leave this board on here, which is what we call the push board. You just bend your rebar straight up in the air. You put a piece of equipment right up against that board, which in this case was a bulldozer. That's what we had on site. You can use a track hoe as well. And you basically idle the machine, and as it idles, it will push this slab right out into the water. And the most least seniority guy on the crew always gets to ride the ramp down. And I use the word down pretty figuratively and literally sometimes. But this guy, Stacy, as you can see, we're beginning to push up some little dirt and mud here in the water. You can see waves out there. So this thing is starting to move out into the water. And Stacy's about 2 to 3 feet from the end of the slab, and that right there, what he has in his hand is a survey rod, so we're trying to get at least 36 inches of depth of water out there. We end up with more than that, but we want at least 3 feet of water. Stacy's not moving, so this moves on out in the water. We went out here and put an iron pin we drive in the ground. That's where we would like for the corner of this slab to be, at least at that point. If we can get out there, we'll have plenty of depth. And over here again, we're staying away from the bank. We're going out towards the deeper end, the deeper channel of the river. Still pushing it in. Right now, Stacy's wondering, does he get paid enough for this problem? And right now, Stacy knows he doesn't get paid enough for this. But we pushed a little bit further. As you can see, we're about 3 foot deep here. If you go on out here where the end of the slab is, we've got about 42 inches of water that at the end of that slab, and that was in July, August of last year when it was extremely dry. If you see on the bank over here, the water level's down. So if we can get 40 inches of water in July and August in a drought year, you're going to have plenty of water under your boat any other time. So if you look back upstream, there's the one that we just pushed in place. We bring our rock in and we kind of lay it up and down through here, getting ready to use it later on. We clean this area out, bend your rebar back down, and then you pour your second. So what we just pushed in the water is down here where he's standing. Right here is the asphalt where we cut it. There's the second 40 feet of concrete. You let that dry for a couple of days and cure. Pull your forms off. You've got a lot of gravel or rock you've hauled in and laying over here, and then the piece of equipment walks down the side. He swings around and picks the rock up and swings back around and drops it. What he's trying to do is to protect this side out here from undermining and erosion. You can't get that on the concrete, of course, so when we do all we can do with that, we bring in something that's just got some rubber tires on it. We could continue to fill this side up over here. We fill this up with rock here, and we've gotten it much steeper slope at 15%. See how that drops off into the water? We've got it going out to deeper water, and with rock here and rock over here, we like for all the rain and silt, if there is anything, come down through here to go off this way rather than going down your ramp. So, there's the finished product. A couple of days after we got done, we went back, took these pictures, flip it off, cleaned it up, put our equipment on the truck, went home, and Nashville's called and sent us emails saying it works perfect. And so we was able to help the city of Nashville out, and Corps of Engineers was involved as well, so we thought it was a pretty good working agreement.
What I was trying to pay attention, that the piece you pushed in, you had your rebar being pushed down behind that board, didn't you, where you could tie on that extra pad?
Yeah, you brought it back down.
I saw you flip, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got rebar in, you got two, you got
Yeah,
running each way about
yeah.
12 inches apart.
Is that a public access now, or is it still?
No, it's private. Belongs to the city, and we do use it. I think our staff does use it when need, but it's private. It's not open to the public.
We were impressed. I'd never seen that done that way.
Next thing we do, we'll call, you can ride it down the water if you want.
I'm sure, 3 foot in my way.
You sure can. We'll take you up on that.
It's over my head.
Questions?
Anybody have any questions from the commission?
Dwight, do you mind giving us an update on White's Landing?
We have ordered some of the materials. The crew is scheduled to be there next week, but they probably won't start actually digging dirt or anything the week after next. So we're a couple of weeks away from getting that started. We're just trying to get the materials lined up and get it purchased.
we're ready to go, though, as far as
We got the permits.
permits and whatever else. Hold it, you know. All right, cool.
Basically, you won't be pulling off for Region 1 till Region 4 is finished, correct?
That's correct.
Okay,
If
I
that's
just
what
want
you
to
said.
clarify that.
Well, we got separate crews, right?
No, they don't either.
Huh?
It's just one crew, isn't it?
No, there's two.
We really got 2.5. We got one crew, 2 crews that do nothing but.
Two boat ramps
Boat
and,
ramps, and we got another that does 6 months out of the year, wildlife, 6 months out of the year, boat ramp. And this one was done by late David Lowe, in Region 3, did this project for us. He's located in, he sure does.
Dwight, just following up, what's the projected schedule on Commissioner Teague's project that he was asking you about?
We'll get started in a couple of weeks. We would like to get we got 2 ramps to build. We've got 1 ramp to replace. We got some parking area to do. And we want to get as much done before it starts raining, because the way the permit's written, if it starts raining there, then we really can't do anything.
So it sounds like you're trying to beat, what is the old Thanksgiving Day rule, trying
We
to beat
want
that
to,
week?
I doubt if we'll get all 3 of the ramps done, but we're going to try to do it as best we can. We got October, we got maybe 2 months.
Okay.
And the way the permit is written, we don't want us to uncover anything if we think it's going to rain. So if we think it's going to, we're just not going to remove any dirt from that site. The way it's written, whatever we remove that day, we've either got to put something back in place of it, or we've got to cover it with a tarp. I've never done one with a permit with those restrictions, but that's what they're saying.
build a pole barn over it and start working, yeah.
Well, you would ask for a budget increase to make that happen?
No.
Y'all aren't scared, you're not scared to, probably.
Answer that one. Are there any other questions? I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I just get some.
Any from the public? Dwight, we don't get to see your crews very much, but what they do and how they represent this agency is tremendous. And just please pass on our appreciation to them.
I'll do that. Anytime anybody wants to see any work that we are doing or have done, you let me know. I'll be glad to schedule a time. I'll meet you. I'll take you there, let you see what they're doing and see how they do it. And, been doing this kind of work for 30 years, and I haven't seen anybody do any work any better than any of these guys. They all are very dedicated and are very good at what they do.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Chair, I believe that's all we have.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Cannon, I guess now we'll move to the Budget Committee with Jeff Griggs, chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Budget Committee at this time would like to call Tim Churchill, Chief Real Estate Division, to give us a real estate report. Tim always told Gordon we save the best for last, so don't let me down.
Well, I appreciate that. Okay. Go. Right, we'll go over, what we usually go over, but I've got some additional maps and things for tracks that we're currently working on, that, this is a lot harder to see than I thought it, well, let me see, where's the, what is it? F5. There we go. Yeah, that's terrible, but it's in your books. Not a lot has changed on this sheet of the report. There's a few I'd point out in Chester County. I'll just point out the ones that have closed this month. Chester County, this number 1210-015, 300 acres has closed. That belongs to us now. That's right outside of Henderson, and that's there's another tract right across the street that we're looking at that's really part of the same wetland system, and it's gonna be a really nice little area, little swamp area with that draws some waterfowl, so it ought to be a good place. Let's go down the list on this same page to Monroe County. That closed out about a month ago. This is for a work base. That's they're currently working on now, as I understand it. And right underneath that, excuse me, Montgomery County, number 130311, Bellamy Cave, which is was a SWIG project, a bat cave. That one closed as well, and is in our ownership. And then on this second page, I guess those are all the Cunningham tracks up at the upper end of the Caney Fork, and not much has changed there. We're hoping to close on all that land up there before the end of the year. So I'll just sort of move into what we're currently working on and getting approval for. This is I think all wetland acquisition from the wetland fund. Point out on this Mayfield tract in Chester County, this would be the red tract on there. That's the next tract over there that we want to get. The one in green is the one we just bought, the 300 acres I just reported on. But this tract is 116 acres roughly. Again, right outside of Henderson. If you have any questions about any of these, just jump right in and ask. There's another tract, a larger tract. This is wetland outside of the White Oak WMA, just east of it. It's 241 acres. We're seeking permission to go ahead with this one from the State Building Commission. This is a tract that's been hanging out there for a number of years. Has an owner down in Atlanta. We're working with the Wildlife Foundation to see if there's a way that we can put together kind of a group of interested folks to somehow get this bought. This is a linchpin tract. It connects two larger areas of land that we currently own, and a little bit of it's in Shelby County, a little bit of it's in Fayette County, or a lot of it's in Fayette County. A little bit of land on both sides of the river as well. But anyway, this is another one we're looking at. In Madison County, this tract of wetland at Spring Creek WMA, it's 95 acres. We're looking towards acquiring this as well. This is on the Fork of Deer, Middle Fork. And moving into Middle Tennessee in Coffee County, at Bark Camp Barrens WMA, we bought a couple of tracts there in the last year or two. Got some grant money to buy at least one of those. This is a 100-acre tract, 105-acre tract down there that we're looking at. Then lastly, a good piece of land here up at East Tennessee at North Cumberland. It's Royal Blue, isn't it, John? It's right outside, right at the old Royal Blue, or at least Royal Blue unit, I guess. I can't recall how many acres this is. How many acres is this, John? 2,000, does it say?
It's about 2,000.
2,000. Just about 2,000. Anyway, those are the ones that we've got in the mill at this time, so if y'all have questions.
Anyone on the
Comments?
commission have a question?
Excuse me? Who asked?
What is the cost on the 2,000 acres?
That's right now they're asking about $550 an acre, which is real low. And, so that certainly piqued our interest in it, just the price alone.
Any more questions?
So if we buy that, where's the money, where do you get, it's obviously not wetlands.
It is wetland.
Oh, it
There's
is?
a couple of exceptions in that wetland act that allow us to buy adjacent properties, and one of them is, and then some that are outside of, that are non-wetland up in East Tennessee, and Royal Blue's one of those areas.
Any more questions from the commission? Anyone from the audience? Mr. Chairman, back to you. Thank you, Tim.
Okay.
Thank you. Those maps were very helpful. We appreciate that. All right, unless, Director Carter, do you have anything to add for today's meeting? All right, unless there's any other questions or comments from the commission, then we'll be adjourned until 9 o'clock in the morning. Thank you.